Prologue, where Bullet 2 left US. The film picks up shortly after the explosive events of Lost Bullet 2. Lino Albin Lenore, now more broken and haunted than ever, has uncovered the truth behind his brother's death and the police corruption that infects the unit. His rage, once aimed at the system, is now focused on two men, Ariski, the violent right hand of a criminal network, and a new face in power, a corrupted high-ranking officer simply known as the Commander. But Lino isn't alone. Julia, Steffi Selma, having faced off against betrayal in her own department, decides to risk everything to help Lino. She's determined to see justice served, even if it means going rogue. Chapter 1, The Chase continues. The film opens with a nighttime car chase in Marseille. Lino is behind the wheel of a heavily modified Renault, a Frankenstein of armor and horsepower. Ariski's men are pursuing him through the industrial docks, unleashing a hail of bullets. Flashbacks intercut the scene, reminding us of Lino's transformation from a small-time mechanic to a relentless vigilante. The chase ends in a brutal crash. Lino escapes, but barely. Julia meets him in a safe house in the outskirts, treating his wounds. Tensions rise as Lino is consumed by revenge. Julia pleads with him to think strategically, take down the network, not just the man. Chapter 2, The Network. We learn that Ariski has built an underground empire with the Commander's help, trafficking weapons and drugs, using police channels to avoid detection. The Commander, played by Gerard Lanvin, once trained Julia and Lino. He is a man who believes in control through fear, not justice. Julia reaches out to an old friend in internal affairs, Tanya, and Sarah, who's been building a quiet case. But Tanya warns her, they're watching me too. One wrong move and we all burn. Meanwhile, Ariski, Nicolas Duvachel, is introduced in a brutal scene interrogating a mole with a blowtorch. He suspects someone is helping Lino. He orders a citywide lockdown in their criminal zones. Find him. Bring me his head. Chapter 3, Ghosts of the Past. Lino digs into the case files left behind by his brother and finds encrypted evidence, names, dates, drop locations, a map of the rot inside law enforcement. But decoding it requires someone he never wanted to see again, Maxime, a former hacker turned drug cook, Ramsey Bedia. Maxime is bitter but agrees to help in exchange for protection from Ariski's gang, who now want him dead too. Lino, Maxime, and Julia form an uneasy alliance. Back at headquarters, the Commander manipulates the press, painting Lino as a rogue assassin responsible for multiple murders. He uses this lie to gain more control over the police task forces, hunting Lino in broad daylight. Chapter 4, Traps and Traitors. A sting operation is arranged by Julia and Maxime, leak a fake shipment route and wait for Ariski's men to show. But someone tips them off. The ambush becomes a massacre. Lino barely escapes with his life. Maxime is captured. Julia goes underground. In captivity, Maxime is tortured by Ariski. But instead of breaking, he stalls. You're not the king, Ariski, he whispers. You're just the bullet. The real weapon's still out there. Lino reaches out to an old friend of his brother, Captain Lambert, Charles Marillon, retired but still respected. Lambert agrees to lend one last hand, giving Lino access to an old safe house filled with confiscated weapons and prototype tech. Chapter 5, Building the Bullet. In a long montage, Lino rebuilds his car, armor-plated, nitrous-boosted, armed with spike launchers and a makeshift battering ram. This time he says, I'm bringing the war to them. Julia, now in disguise, infiltrates the Commander's surveillance network and uncovers the final plan, a secret convoy moving $50 million in weapons under the cover of a charity gala. She warns Lino, this is it. One shot. You end it now or you die trying. Chapter 6, The Gala and the Heist. The gala is held in a luxurious vineyard estate outside Marseille. Politicians, officers, and underworld figures mingle. But underneath, weapons and money are being exchanged. Lino arrives not through the front door, but crashing through a steel gate at 120 miles per hour. Chaos erupts. He targets Ariski's convoy, using his car as a battering ram. Explosions light up the vineyard. Julia disables communications. Maxime, having escaped with Lambert's help, hacks into the surveillance feed, feeding Lino directions. In the melee, Lino corners Ariski in a wine cellar, both bloodied and exhausted. Ariski laughs, even if you kill me, the system stays. Lino doesn't respond. One shot between the eyes. Chapter 7, The Final Confrontation. The Commander escapes in a helicopter, but Lino follows in a hijacked SUV, chasing it to a remote helipad. There, the final showdown takes place. Julia arrives with evidence in hand. A livestream is launched, broadcasting the Commander's confession and the criminal network details. In a tense standoff, the commander draws his weapon. Lino hesitates, but Julia pulls the trigger first. The commander falls. Sirens wail in the distance. Epilogue, justice? Weeks later, Lino testifies before an international court. Julia is reinstated but declines promotion. Maxime disappears. The criminal network is dismantled. Lino visits his brother's grave, placing a small, charred bullet on the headstone. It's done, he says. As he walks away, a voiceover plays, you can rebuild a car. You can't rebuild a soul. But maybe, just maybe, you can drive it somewhere better.